President Trump is reportedly considering a wave of preemptive pardons. Does this concern you? All these preemptive pardons?
Well, it concerns me in terms of what kind of precedent it sets and how the rest of the world looks at us as a nation of laws and justice. You're not going to see in our administration that kind of approach to pardons. Or you're going to see in our administration the approach to making policy by tweets. It's just going to be a totally different way in which we approach the justice system.
President Trump is reportedly considering a wave of
Now, that's just one of the many hypocritical things that Joe Biden has done and said as we enter into this new Trump era. Should I say the return of the Trump era? And what's crazy is there was all of this talk. Y'all remember back in 2020 when Trump was leaving office and they talked about how he was going to be doing all of these pardons and whatnot? Let's take a quick look back and see what the Democrats' perspective was on granting pardons when Trump was leaving office versus right now. And then I'm going to tell you exactly what Joe Biden just did that will blow your mind. It's almost like this man intentionally is trying to make sure that not only does he cover his tracks, but every single other person who was involved in the lawfare campaign against President Trump. But no matter how hard they try to hide, they will be exposed. But check out, as we take a walk down memory lane, what some of these other Democrat clowns said. Check this out.
Well, the seeking of pardons is powerful demonstration of the consciousness of guilt, or at least the consciousness that you may be in trouble. And that's what's so shocking about this.
The president seems intent on filling his remaining days in office with petulance, self-interest. The president's reportedly asking his staff about whether he can President's reportedly asking his staff whether he can issue pre-pardons himself, his family members, Rudy Giuliani. There's a simple answer. No. No, Mr. President. That would be a gross abuse of the presidential pardon authority.
Chuck Schumer, he's just a POS. Now, this is also the man who Donald Trump gave his very first check to in public office when he was a public servant. Donald Trump gave this man his first campaign check, and look at how he has flipped and just straight stabs this man every single chance he get. And Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, these old remnants of what the political system used to be like have got to be gone, because there is a new day upon us right now. And in case you have not heard, here's the latest news on what Joe Biden has recently done. Not only has he been a complete hypocrite as far as in all the things that they said if Trump did this in 2020, how that was fascist and that was dictator and that was, going against the Constitution, and how anybody that he pardoned must be guilty, because why else would they need a pardon if they weren't guilty? But yet Joe Biden pardoned his son Hunter Biden from 2014 to now. Why 11 years? Pardon him for crimes known, those unknown, so he could have bodies everywhere and he'd be fine. But not only did he do Hunter Biden, he pardoned another 1,500 people who were pedos, people who had literally robbed their entire cities of their funds, freed at home on the couch. The Kids for Cash judge who was sending all those kids to that doggone reform school where the kids were being abused and hurt, where he collected millions. This is who Joe Biden released. To put it in perspective, Barack Obama was the highest pardoning president up until Joe Biden. And Obama had pardoned 300 and some odd people. Joe Biden did 1,500. Not to mention this new wave of pardon that just came across this morning. And it's the typical usual suspects. You got Dr. Fauci, Liz Cheney, the entire January 6th committee, Mark Milley. And if you don't know who Mark Milley is, he's the general who went and was talking with the Chinese, going behind Trump's back, trying to sabotage his plans there. He was involved with the spying on campaigns. Mark Milley has been involved with Transgender Story Day on military base. This man is a disgrace. And even though he's been being pardoned, they can still be exposed as they would be. But check out what CNN had to say about what Joe Biden did and just how hypocritical they are. And this is why the public does not trust the mainstream media. We see it. There's definitely two sets of rules, two tiers of justice, and two sets of standards. It's like if you have a D in front of your political column, you can pretty much crap, pee, throw up, cuss, do anything you want to do. And they're going to say, but they only did it because, Trump made them do it. Now, Trump don't have anything to do with it, but somehow Trump and conservatives But let a conservative make a mistake and break wind in public at lunch. It'll be on every outlet. Oh my God, they're contributing to the climate issues. They broke wind. And can you believe that they would do that and leave such a stench in the air that's worse than what's going on in China? They would make it extreme. But that's just what they do. But check this clip out from CNN.
Now we have some breaking news, major news from President Biden in the final hours of his presidency. I want to go to our chief Washington correspondent, John Karl, for more on this. And John, we know there are now preemptive pardons being issued by President Biden for those who were targeted during the campaign, received threats from Donald Trump.
This is a major development, a big last move, one of the last moves for President Biden. As you know, George, during the campaign, Donald Trump spoke about retribution. He and his supporters talked about prosecuting people like Anthony Fauci, members of the January 6th committee, Mark Milley, General Mark Milley, the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who Trump even suggested could face the death penalty. So President Biden has just issued preemptive pardons for all of them, saying, quote, these public servants have served our nation with honor and distinction and not deserve to be targets of unjustified and politically motivated prosecutions. So again, this is Anthony Fauci. This is committee members and staff of the January 6th committee, and this is General Mark Milley, also members of the Capitol Police who testified before the January 6th committee. At the end of this statement announcing these pardons, President Biden makes it clear this is not an admission of guilt. He says the issuance of these pardons should not be mistaken as acknowledgement that any individual engaged in any wrongdoing. He says what he is doing is protecting them from possible and, in some cases, threat political prosecutions.
Explain in practical terms how this is likely to work, John.
Well, this means that, there have been talks from prominent supporters of President Trump have talked about a special prosecutor to go and to have criminal prosecutions of these individuals with a preemptive pardon. They not be subject to those political prosecutions or any prosecutions. We don't know the details, how exactly sweeping this is, but we've seen preemptive pardons in the past. We saw, of course, President Biden do a preemptive pardon of Hunter Biden. We saw President Ford years ago do a preemptive pardon of President Nixon. It basically closes off future prosecutions.
No reaction yet from President-elect Trump, but we know he's planning pardons today as well.
He's planning pardons of the people who were prosecuted for breaking into the Capitol, attacking the Capitol on January 6th. Pardons we expect will be today.
Again, the question is whether that extends to people who committed violent acts on January 6th. John Karl, thanks very much. Robin?
It is going to be quite a day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, listen to what's happening. And they're even bringing up the fact that he only has a few hours left to pardon his brother, James Biden, who also, it's already documented. They got the bank statements where he was receiving money from China, Ukraine, I forgot the other countries, but it's like 6 different countries that was giving Jim Biden millions of dollars. They've already totaled it up to be a little bit over $20 million paid to Hunter and Jim Biden. And you telling me that Joe had no idea with that, even though Joe was in the pictures with the Chinese business partners? Even though business partners have testified under oath before Congress that Joe Biden was at these meetings. And so he comes out and he pardons these people. Now, remember, though, they said, well, if you're innocent, why do you need a pardon? Only guilty people need pardons. Dr. Fauci, because of that bullcrap job he did with COVID, misleading the people. Did you know that the 6 feet social distancing and the mask thing, he just came up with that, literally just came out of nowhere? Do you know that Liz Cheney, she's a disgraced former Republican congresswoman, was voted out of oblivion because of her decision to flip and be with the other war hawks? Remember, her father, Dick Cheney, is a war hawk. He's the reason why we had men and women, our soldiers, dying in Iraq over phantom WMDs. This is his daughter. And she goes and gets down with the January 6th committee, who was picked by Nancy Pelosi. Did you also know the Republican Party was not allowed to select who they wanted on the January 6th committee? See, most people don't know that. Nancy Pelosi she chose Liz Cheney as one of the members. The most anti-Trump, never-Trumper in the Republican Party. And did you also know that all the evidence from the J6 investigation has been destroyed? Did you know that there was witness tampering? Not even alleged. It's known. So the fact that, and then with all of that they had, It still was on video. Nancy Pelosi said it's her fault she didn't have the National Guard. It's on video. Trump saying peacefully and patriotically protest. This is all things we see, but yet every time the media showed it, guess what wasn't there? Peacefully and patriotically. These people make me sick. But Joe Biden has just done the ridiculous move of pardoning all these people. But I assure you, Kash Patel, Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump, they will expose all of this information. They may not be able to be put in prison. They may not be able to be prosecuted. But public opinion can be far worse than those other two. And I'm not one to ever want to see people put in jail because that's a horrible place. But they tried to send our president to prison. Not once, not twice, multiple times. And by the grace of God and with the help of people like you, people like myself, out here fighting the good fight, today, we celebrate January the 20th when Donald J. Trump returns to his seat as the commander-in-chief of the United States of America. And I am so happy about it. So, man, listen, it's crazy. But just keep watching. I really believe that when somebody's about to leave office, they probably should have like a certain time period where they're not allowed to do certain things. Joe Biden pardoned almost 2,000 people. And if you have not done the research, please start researching and looking up who those people were. Just in case you were considering you might want to vote Democrat anytime soon, check that out. And if you are somebody who was a Democrat, came to decide, check that out. Also, look up how many of them voted against the Laken Riley Act, where if an illegal immigrant commits sexual assault, they're immediately detained and handled by ICE and will be deported. 145 Democrats voted against it. So just watch as the world begins to take shape now that we got Trump back in office. But Joe Biden, the most divisive, the most race-baiting, the horrible economies, the open border, this man will go down as one of the worst, if not the worst president ever. And this whole thing when they say, 36% job rating, I really believe CNN and MSNBC are lying with that. I believe that his approval is probably in the single digits. 9 or 10%. You cannot show me 4 out of 10 people or 3 out of 10 people that believe Joe Biden did a good job. As a matter of fact, think about your neighborhood. How many people have you seen with Biden-Harris signs up? How many people did you see with Harris-Walsh signs up? How many people do you even see that are proud to publicly proclaim they're a Democrat now? No, it's not the cool thing. Even SNL took shots at Rachel Maddow and at the Democrats in the recent episode of Saturday Night Live. But I digress. Hey, man, I appreciate you for watching. If you like this video, hit that like button because I'll never ask you for a cash app, never ask you for a super chat. But your like is currency. It helps other people see the video, and I greatly appreciate it. And on this channel, I share sales strategy and political and current events. So if you'd like to be updated when I upload new videos, hit that subscribe button. And once you're subscribed, hit that notification bell and select all, and you'll be notified anytime I upload videos. Other than that, I greatly appreciate you watching. I'm Brian Maxwell. I look forward to seeing you at the top. And welcome back, President Donald J. Trump. Fight, fight, fight.